Coaching the 3-4-1-2 and 4-2-3-1. This video shows a series of exercises which should prove useful to coach the main tactical aspects of soccer. The exercises have been carried out in the evening under conditions in which amateur teams typically train. All the exercises are aimed at various tactical targets highlighted in the video. They are also aimed at involving a large number of players. In the exercises shown with animation, the distance between the defensive, midfield, and offensive has been enlarged so that the coach can better visualize the movements of the individual players. The defensive phase. Exercises to build a 4-player defense. An exercise to maintain the horizontal distances between the 4 defenders. In this exercise, the defense players are coached to take the correct positions as the ball moves horizontally across the field. The defenders, in yellow, are arranged at the edge of their penalty area, or just a little farther upfield. They move from left to right and vice versa, following the movement of the ball, which is controlled by the 4 players in white who act as coaches. When they move, the defenders must keep the horizontal distances between them constant. During the exercise, the coach should assess the correct position of the players within the defense and the speed of movement of the individual players and of the whole defense from right to left and vice versa. An exercise to coach cover within the defense. The second exercise is carried out by 8 players who are arranged as in the previous exercise. This time the objective is to coach the 4 defenders to cover each other. The 4 coaches pass the ball to each other in their attacking third of the field. The defenders once again must move according to the position of the ball, but at the same time they must also move forward, pressure the player with the ball, thus drawing with their movements diagonals and triangles in the field. The diagonal movement is made by the central defender nearest to the side defender who is pressuring the opponent with the ball. By moving to a diagonal position in relation to his teammate, central defender can effectively tackle the opponent if the latter manages to dribble the ball past the player directly marking him, the side defender in this case. The shape of a triangle is drawn in the field when the central defender moves forward from the defense's horizontal line in order to pressure the opponent with the ball. His nearest teammates, the side defender and the other central defender, move slightly inward to cover their teammate and tackle the opponent with the ball if the latter is successful in getting past the central defender. During the exercise, the coach should assess the correct positioning of the players within the defense, the speed at which the individual player moves forward to pressure the opponent with the ball and then returns to his starting position, and how the individual player attacks the ball. The defender should sprint forward quickly from the defensive line and then slow down when he gets close to the opponent, thus placing himself in an ideal position for a possible tackle. An exercise to coach the shifting movement within the defense. In this exercise, the ball is circulated by the players in white, who act as attackers. When the coach gives the signal, the attacker with the ball must try to dribble the ball past the defender who has come forward to pressure him. The ensuing tactical situation will require the defenders to engage in outward or inward shifting movements. The coach should assess the correct position of the players within the defense, the speed at which the individual players move forward to pressure the opponent with the ball, then return to their starting positions, how the individual players attack the ball, and the direction and the speed with which the defender, if beaten by the attacker, recovers to a useful position. Four defenders against 6 attackers. The defense against the opposing midfield and attack. This exercise requires the defense to put into practice all that has been learned in the previous exercises. The 4 defenders and the goalkeeper must pressure the 6 opposing attackers and prevent them from scoring. The attackers can arrange themselves in various patterns: 4-2, 3-1-2, 3-2-1. And they try to score a goal by using any creative combination, such as deep cuts, wall passes, overlapping, etc. Defenders must learn to face various tactical situations by moving in a coordinated way, both horizontally and vertically on the field, covering each other and shifting. During this exercise, the coach should check that the tactical choices made by the individual players are appropriate. He should also assess the compactness of the defense, the synchronization of the movements, and the speed of movement. Here, the defenders pressure an overlapping player. When their goalkeeper has the ball and is about to return it with a long pass, the defenders quickly move forward, all at the same time, taking advantage of the time in which the ball is in the air. Here we see the defenders winning the ball after a wall pass by the attackers. Here we see a successful wall pass by the attackers. Exercises for a 3-player defense. Once the team is confident with the mechanisms of zone play, those principles can be transferred to a 3-player defense. The 3-player defense, in using one less player, has obvious limitations in covering the field horizontally in an optimum way. Therefore, sometimes it is necessary to integrate the team's defense with the midfielder who is on the weak side, the opposite side of the field to where the ball is. The following exercise helps the 3-player defense to put into practice the mechanisms of zone play. The defense against 5 opponents in a limited area of play. In this exercise, 3 defenders and the goalkeeper face a team of 5 attackers. The defenders must prevent the attackers from scoring by carrying out the movements learned in the previous exercises and moving forward every time the ball is in the air towards the midfield. The entire defense must follow the movement of the ball. Because the ball cannot be played by the opponents when it is in the air, it is fundamental for the team to take advantage of those moments to move forward. By getting closer to the midfield line, the defense takes space away from the opponents. When the opposing midfielders take possession of the ball, it is vital that the defenders stop and move back a few yards. An even more complex exercise is necessary to coach the important tactical work that the side midfielder must carry out on the weak side of the field to integrate him with his team's defense. Exercise for the side midfielder to integrate with the defense. It often happens in a match that one of the three defenders is required to man-mark his direct opponent. Therefore, it is also important to coach the defense and the midfield together so that they can learn to function together as one body. This is why this exercise is carried out by the midfield along with the three defenders. Here, the 7 players block the movements of the opposing midfielders and of a single opposing forward. When the ball is passed to the single opposing forward, number 9 in yellow, the side midfielder should not move back toward the defense line, as he would then increase the already existing superiority in numbers and thereby give too much space to the attacking team's side player. Instead, when the single opposing forward receives the ball, it is the central midfielder nearest to the play who should quickly move to double team him, while the 2 side defenders should move to cover in a triangle-shaped arrangement. The tactical situation in which the side midfielder should integrate with the defense as a 4th defender occurs when the attacking team's side player on the opposite side of the field has freed himself and is moving forward with the ball, with the closest defender having to come out of the defense line to close him down. In order to balance the movement of the side defender, the side midfielder moves back into the defense and acts as a 4th defender. Here, the 7 players in the defense phase counter an attacking team with 2 forwards. In this situation, whenever either of the attacking team's side midfielders has the ball, the side midfielder on the weak side of the defense must be ready to move back and become the 4th defender, and then to move forward to integrate with the midfield again when the opponent's attack is not successful and the opposing midfielders decide to restart the attack from the other side of the field. Now let's take a look at the movements that the side midfielder should make when the ball is received by either of the attacking team's forwards. In this case, both side midfielders should take an active position beyond the line of the ball, covering the important spaces along the wings. The central midfielder who is closest to the ball should join in to double team the opponent with the ball. The last example shows the partial movements that the group of 7 players must carry out when facing 3 opposing forwards. In order to face an attack by 3 forwards in an optimum way, it is necessary to know, in detail, the arrangement and the movements of the opposing midfielders, or to place an extra player in the defense in order to have superiority in numbers. As a general rule, when the ball is on the wings, the side midfielder who is on the weak side should always integrate with his defense in order to have superiority in numbers. When the ball is passed to one of the opposing forwards, both side midfielders should take a position along the defensive line. one pattern of play against other patterns. The 3-4-1-2 pattern against other patterns of play. The 3-4-1-2 against the 4-3-3. To apply pressure in the opponent's defensive third of the field, it is not correct for the side midfielder to move forward and pressure the opposing side defender who has the ball, because if the tactical situation changes, the side midfielder must cover a considerable area of the field to get back to his defensive line. Therefore, it is necessary to involve the forwards. At first, they should force the opposing defense to pass the ball to the side defender. Then, they should follow him towards the area defended by the side midfielder, who in this way can pressure the opposing side defender without advancing too far forward. The defensive line moves towards the strong side, that is, the side of the field where the ball is, and the side midfielder who is on the weak side integrates with the defensive line to create the defense's superiority in numbers. The 3-4-1-2 against the 4-4-2. One of the problems that a team playing in the 3-4-1-2 formation must solve when the opponents are playing the 4-4-2 is the shifting movements which need to be carried out in order to compensate for the inferiority in numbers on the sides. One approach is to apply pressure on the opposing defense by having the forwards move toward the sides and having the attacking midfielder move forward. The intended result is that the opposing defenders will have a more difficult time building up their play. Another result should be that as soon as forward 11 attacks the opponent with the ball, forcing him to play the ball to the side, midfielders 8 and 6 are in a position to anticipate the moves of their direct opponents. Side defender 3 is ready to cover. On the weak side, side midfielder 7 compensates for the forward movement of his teammate 3 by integrating with the defense. Here, the same movements are carried out starting from the other side of the field. Another way to apply pressure in the opponent's defensive third of the field is to require the two forwards and the attacking midfielder to move in different ways. Here, forward 9 remains in a central position, while the other forward and the attacking midfielder move to pressure the opponents on the sides of the field. The midfield and defensive lines carry out the same movements as before. Here, the same movements are carried out starting from the other side of the field. This solution is usually preferred when the two forwards have complementary characteristics. That is, when one is more static, usually the center forward, and the other is more dynamic. There is also another solution, but it entails more risks. If one does not want to move the two forwards and the attacking midfielder, the side midfielder should move forward to pressure the opponent with the ball, while the side defender on the same side should move forward to mark the opposing side player. In this case, too, the side midfielder on the weak side should integrate with the defensive line if required by the tactical situation. Here is another solution. While the side midfielder moves forward to pressure the opponent, the closest central midfielder covers him, and a new balance is obtained with the attacking midfielder moving back a few yards and the side midfielder on the weak side integrating with the defensive line. The 3-4-1-2 against the 3-5-2. In order to apply pressure in the opponent's defensive third of the field, the forwards are required to pressure the opposing defender with the ball. The forward who is closest to the ball pressures the opposing side defender who has the ball, and the side midfielder takes a position enabling him to anticipate the move of his direct opponent, while being covered by the side defender. The attacking midfielder must prevent his direct opponent from receiving the ball. The other forward marks a possible support player. The side midfielder on the weak side moves back, ready to integrate with his midfield. the 3-4-1-2 against the 3-4-1-2. When the opposing team is also playing the 3-4-1-2, one of the problems is the equality in numbers in the defense phase. In this situation, the space available to the opposing attacking midfielder should be limited. This can be done by moving the central defender forward and by moving the side midfielder on the weak side back. This gives the defense a new balance. When the ball is played in the center and not on the sides, it is better to move the attacking midfielder back to the midfield and a central midfielder back to mark the opposing attacking midfielder. The 4-2-3-1 pattern against other patterns of play. The 4-2-3-1 against the 4-4-2. The following tactical movements should be carried out in order to apply pressure on a team playing the 4-4-2. The center forward should force the opposing central defender with the ball to play it toward the side, so that the side attacking midfielder can move forward and pressure the receiver. The center attacking midfielder marks the pass to the opposing central midfielder who is closest to the opponent with the ball. The side defender moves forward to mark the opposing side midfielder. The midfielder who is closest to the ball should take a position enabling him to intercept a possible pass to the opposing forward. On the weak side, the side attacking midfielder moves back to mark the opposing side midfielder. The side defender moves to the center of the defense in order to obtain superiority in numbers in relation to the two opposing forwards. In the defensive pressure, the attacking midfielder on the strong side should double-team the opponent with the ball. The attacking midfielder on the weak side moves back, and the side defender on the weak side moves to the center and creates superiority in numbers in the zone of the two forwards. The 4-2-3-1 against the 3-5-2. Against this pattern of play, as it is difficult for the only forward to steal the ball from three opposing defenders, the objective is also to force the opponents to play the ball along the sides in order to establish a strong side and a weak side on the field, anticipate the markings, and thus establish superiority in numbers in the zone near the ball. Therefore, the players should be arranged as against the 4-4-2, with the center attacking midfielder having the objective of pressuring the opposing playmaker. The 4-2-3-1 against the 3-4-1-2. Against this pattern of play, the greatest risks come from the wall passes made from the opposing forwards to the attacking midfielder, who penetrates at speed to exploit the 3-against-2 in the center. In order to be effective, offensive pressure should be applied when the ball is played toward the side of the field. The side attacking midfielder moves forward to pressure the opponent with the ball, while both the side defender on the strong side and the midfielder who is closest to the ball move forward and aggressively mark the opponents close to them. The side defender can also mark his direct opponent in anticipation, as he is covered by the central defender. On the weak side, the side defender moves to the center, and the side attacking midfielder moves back to establish a new balance in the vacated space. In the middle of the field, the central attacking midfielder moves to the zone of the opposing central midfielder who is farthest away from the ball, while the right midfielder moves back to mark the opposing attacking midfielder. the 4-2-3-1 against the 4-3-3. Pressure is effective when one of the opposing defenders on the side has the ball. The side attacking midfielder pressures the opponent with the ball, while the central attacking midfielder and the side defender on the strong side, respectively, move to anticipate the opposing central midfielder and wing. The side defender can mark his direct opponent in anticipation as he is covered by his team's central defender. In the middle of the field, the midfielder aggressively marks the opposing midfielder closest to the ball. The side attacking midfielder on the weak side moves back in order to be ready to integrate with the defense if needed. It is dangerous to place the central midfielder in a position to anticipate the opposing midfielder, as this would generate an empty space in the middle of the field. If the opposing defender on the side passes the ball to the midfielder, it is better to move the central attacking midfielder to double team that midfielder. In this case, the side attacking midfielder on the weak side moves back to the midfield so that he can easily integrate with the defense if the opponents manage to get a player free from marking on the opposite wing and the defense needs to shift. The 4-2-3-1 against the 3-4-3. In order to apply effective pressure in the defense phase, the three attacking midfielders should move back to the midfield, thus creating superiority in numbers in the midfield. However, this movement may favor the attacking team's side defenders moving the ball forward, because as they are not challenged, they can establish superiority in numbers on the wing. In order to have a balanced situation, it is necessary for the side attacking midfielder to move forward to pressure the opponent with the ball. However, when he does so, he leaves behind an empty space and an opponent to be marked. There are two options to cover his movement. Either the two midfielders shift the marking horizontally, or the defense line, which starts from the side defender, shifts vertically with the other defender shifting towards the zone where the ball is. Regardless of the chosen option, the forward must mark the back pass to the opposing central defender to prevent the opponent with the ball from finding an easy solution. Exercises in the offensive phase. These exercises are aimed at improving the tactical skills and the timing in the offense. Exercises for the cross pass. The cross pass is one of the most widely used final touches in soccer. It is an ideal way to get beyond a strong defense which has been arranged in the penalty area or at its edge. It can also be a decisive weapon in counterattacks to send the ball behind the defense. Exercise to get free from marking, receive the ball, and deliver a cross pass. The first exercise is mainly about receiving the ball and delivering the cross pass. The player is near the side of the field. After a movement to get free from marking, he receives the ball passed by the coach, dribbles through the cones, and then cross passes the ball from the end of the field. In order to make this exercise effective in all its parts, movement to get free from marking, receiving the ball, dribbling, and cross-passing, the coach should immediately correct any possible mistakes. Whether a cross pass is successful or unsuccessful can depend on the position of the supporting foot, on the rotation of the body, and on the player's balance at the moment he kicks the ball. In this exercise, the coach passes the ball to the player. The player carries out a precision cross pass on the volley with one touch to a pre-established zone of the field. In the next exercise, the cross pass is carried out after a give-and-go exchange with the coach. Exercise to deliver a cross pass to the back of the defense. After some individual skill exercises aimed at improving the player's ability to make cross passes from the end of the field, we should coach the players to cross pass to the back of the opposing defense. The midfield and attack are arranged in one half of the field according to the pattern of play the team uses for matches. Here we have 2 forwards supported by 4 midfielders. The 2 forwards are aggressively marked man-to-man by 2 opponents. The exercise starts with the midfielders who have the ball. They circulate it with 2-touch passing from the right to the left and vice versa. They can also pass it to the forwards. When the ball is about to reach one of the side players, the coach gives a signal for the attacking team to quickly make a cross pass for the forwards to receive the ball behind the opposing defense. Besides assessing the technical accuracy and effectiveness of the player who cross passes, the coach should also assess the timing, speed, and direction of the forward's movement to free himself from his marker. The forwards should also be extremely careful not to receive the ball in an offside position, as this example shows. Theme play, small-sided game to improve cross passes. The attackers, in white, can shoot only after a cross pass from the end of the field made from within pre-established spaces, or as an alternative, can shoot only from outside the penalty area. The defenders, in yellow, achieve the objective of the exercise when they manage to get the ball beyond the goal line. The size of the field varies according to the number of players. The 2 teams can be given similar aims and rules, even when the game is played in a smaller field but with regulation-size goals, with each team attacking and cross-passing when they have possession of the ball. Exercises for combinations. These exercises are aimed at improving the final touch skills in combinations between 2 players. Exercise to improve the timing of the movements between 2 players and to improve the ability to pass the ball into a teammate's stride. This exercise is carried out by 2 players who pass the ball to each other without hitting the cones on the track. It must be carried out by alternating the starting positions of the players in relation to the cones, in order to alternate the foot that kicks the ball and to get used to passing the ball with either foot. At first, the players are allowed to play the ball with 2 touches. Then they are asked to play the ball with 1 touch only. This is a specific exercise for the combination in a narrow space. 2 attackers against 2 defenders. 4 players, 2 attackers and 2 defenders are arranged inside a square marked by small cones. One of the attackers receives the ball from the coach and, through a combination with his teammate, gets himself in a position to shoot at goal. Before receiving the ball from the coach, the attacker must carry out a dummy movement and then a counter movement so that he can receive the ball without any risks of interception by the defender. Once he has received the ball, the attacker can turn with the ball if the defender is not near, or he can pass the ball to his teammate, who will then return the ball to him behind the defenders. Theme play, small-sided game to improve the final touch through a combination. A small-sided game is played between attackers and defenders in a small area and with the following rules. The attackers can shoot only after a give-and-go combination between 2 players. Or, as an alternative, after a cross pass or an unmarking pass carried out after a give-and-go combination between 2 teammates. The defenders score a point when a penetrating defender receives a one-touch wall pass and manages to take the ball beyond the goal line. Small-sided games with similar aims and rules for both defenders and attackers can be played using regulation-size goals in a small area. The size of the field varies according to both the number of players and the objectives of the coach. Exercises for overlapping. Overlapping is extremely useful when in the attack the team wants to create superiority in numbers on the wings. Overlapping enables the team to deliver a cross pass after a bypassing move, and this can take by surprise opposing teams who are focused on a strong defense near the penalty area. Therefore, it is important for a team to be familiar with this tactical movement and use it to its own advantage. Handball with overlapping. This exercise is carried out with the hands, therefore it can be used as a warm-up exercise too. The team with the ball scores a point whenever one of its players, after passing the ball to a second player, as we can see here, overlaps and receives a return pass from a third player who had received the ball from the second one. This slow-motion view shows a good performance. Here we can see another well-performed overlap. Here, one more point is scored. This is a good performance. Exercise to improve the timing of the side player's move forward and cross pass after the overlap. What has been practiced in the handball game is now applied to soccer. The attack and midfield are arranged, in this case, 2 forwards and 4 midfielders. The 6 players are supported by 2 side defenders who must overlap. When the exercise starts, the 4 midfielders circulate the ball. When the coach gives the signal, the ball is passed to the side midfielder who moves to the center to receive the ball, thus vacating space for the overlapping penetration of the side defender who, after receiving the ball on the run from the central midfielder, cross passes. The coach should assess the smoothness of the play, the movements of the players who receive the ball, as well as their timing in breaking free from marking. Theme play, small-sided game to improve overlapping. The 2 teams can score a goal only after a cross pass made after an overlap on the side. The 2 teams have the same number of players, but they are allowed to play with superiority in numbers when they are in the offensive phase. One of the side midfielders of the team without the ball is not allowed to cross a certain line in the defense phase. Here, player 10 in yellow cannot cross the highlighted line. On the other team, in the defense phase, side midfielder 10 in red cannot cross the line indicated by the red arrow. In this way, a situation of superiority in numbers, 2 versus 1, is created on the wings for the team with the ball. This exercise can be done with a varying number of players, However, in order to arrange the team in 3 sections, it is advisable to carry it out with at least 8 players per team. Exercises for deep cuts. Exercise to improve the timing between the attacking midfielder and the player cutting in. This first exercise is extremely important to improve the timing between the player who makes the pass and the player who sprints to receive the deep pass. The coach passes the ball to the forward, who comes towards it, thus vacating space for his teammate, who must choose the right time to make a deep run. The midfielder, who receives the back pass from the forward, then passes the ball to his teammate, who is cutting in deep. This pass must be accurate and well timed. The player who is making a deep cut should not have to slow down to wait for the ball, nor should the ball be too far downfield, making it impossible for him to reach. The forward who is making a deep cut can free himself from marking either by a diagonal movement toward the center or by an arc-shaped movement toward the side. The initial emphasis in this exercise should be to assess the timing, the quality of the unmarking movement, and the accuracy of the pass, disregarding the possible offside position of the attacker when he receives the ball. As the ability of the players improves, the player who cuts in will be required to also pay attention not to sprint forward too early in order to avoid being in an offside position. Theme play, small-sided game to improve cuts. 2 teams play in a smaller size area. The team in the yellow shirts must dribble the ball beyond the goal line and cannot be tackled in the defensive zone whose boundary is marked. The team in white, after stealing the ball, they cannot steal it in the attack zone, must shoot at goal within 7 seconds. The time deadline forces the team in white to quickly counterattack, with some players sprinting forward to receive the pass. Exercises for wall passes. The following are some useful exercises to improve wall passes. Exercise to improve the timing between the penetrating player and the player making the wall pass. In this exercise, the attack and the midfield are arranged in one half of the field according to the pattern of play the team uses for matches. In our case, we have 4 midfielders and 2 forwards who circulate the ball. When the coach gives the signal, they can shoot at goal after a wall pass from a forward to a penetrating midfielder or from a forward to the other forward. Besides the timing of the movements, the coach should assess the effectiveness of the unmarking movement of the player who sprints to receive the ball, as well as the technical performance of the wall pass, which should enable the penetrating player to shoot at goal without interrupting his run. Then a small-sided game can be played to improve the wall pass in the final touch phase. The players are divided into two teams, and they can shoot at goal only after a wall pass. Exercise for dribbling past an opponent. Besides being a spectacular and appreciated technical movement, dribbling past an opponent enables the player to create superiority in numbers in the attack zone, like the other final touch techniques we have examined: overlaps, cut-ins, and wall passes. Exercise to improve dribbling after receiving the ball. The midfield and the attack are arranged in one half of the field according to a 4-2 pattern. They play against 4 defenders plus a goalkeeper. The 2 central midfielders act as playmakers. They choose whether to pass the ball to the side midfielder farther ahead or to the forwards who are man-marked. The central or side attackers can either make a back pass with one touch to one of the central midfielders, or they can control the ball and try to dribble past their marker to shoot at goal. The coach should be able to assess and point out to the players the correct unmarking movement. Once they have received the ball, the players should be able to defend the ball from the opponent and to turn with the ball if they receive it with the goal at their back. It is useful to change the positions of the players who practice this dribbling exercise. As this exercise is based on direct dribbling and tackling, the 4 defenders cannot help each other. Each of them must only tackle his direct attacker. The exercises shown in this video are of course not meant to be absolute directions. They are only some of the countless tactical considerations that can be made on the patterns of play in soccer. According to his own knowledge and experience, each coach will get from them ideas for further solutions and developments to be put into practice, always keeping in mind their application and feasibility according to the quality of the players he has to coach. The companion book by Massimo Lucchesi, Coaching the 3-4-1-2 and 4-2-3-1, is available on our website, www.reedswain.com.